Hi everyone, Andrew Johns here. Welcome back. Today we are going to provide an update on the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy, or CEWS. In this video, we're going to provide an update on the applications to date, and more importantly, talk about what a mess the Liberal government has made of this program. So to start, let's reflect on Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's tweet from April 8th, 2020. He wrote, "To help small business owners pay workers even if they've slowed down or stopped their operations because of COVID-19, we introduced the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy. And because we want this to help as many people as possible, we're going to put it in place with more flexible rules." Now look, without a doubt, this program has been the single most important government policy for the Canadian economy. It continues to be the primary reason why so many hotels, restaurants, retailers remain in business during this pandemic. To summarize the data to date, the Canadian Emergency Wage Subsidy, or CEWS, has had 1.9 million applications approved, of which 370,000 are unique applicants, and they've paid out a whopping $54 billion in wages, of course paid for by Canadian taxpayers. But it hasn't been just a lifeline for small business. It's also been a cash grab for many of Canada's largest and best financed companies. This week, the Canada Revenue Agency, or CRA, released a live CEWS registry. It's obvious why CRA decided to list all 341,589 companies in this registry, as there is a line right in the website stating information for employees. If you have reason to believe that the CEWS applicant is misusing the subsidy, you can report suspicious activities to CRA by submitting a lead on the LEADS program. This is why I've been a lifelong advocate of transparency in government, because there simply isn't enough accountability with the institutions that take our money and use it to provide everyone with public goods and services. Wasteful spending and unethical use of taxpayer dollars seems to be a cornerstone of this current Liberal government, and now we have further proof. Here are some compelling statistics for you. Of Canada's 10 largest companies who access the CEWS, their combined market value is $235 billion. The total amount of dividends that these companies paid to their investors this year was $8.5 billion. And if you take the CEO compensation of these 10 companies and combine it, it's nearly $50 million. What we don't know is how many millions or perhaps billions of dollars are paid to employee wages to these companies. Wouldn't it be nice if the government was even more transparent with this information? I mean, it is your tax dollars that is funding this in the first place. But look, that's not all. It actually gets worse. In fact, we decided to search the registry for keywords that would generate results that we were somewhat surprised to find. There are a huge number of foreign corporations who've received wage subsidies through this program. So many so that we simply couldn't list them all here. So we decided to put together our list of the 10 foreign companies who received the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy. Before I read this list off to you, here are some names of organizations that received the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy but that we couldn't fit on our top 10 list. First of all was the Roman Catholic Church. In fact, the word church comes up 1,292 times in the registry, of which only 2 times is the wonderful Church's Chicken. Also on the list, Nordstrom's, Holt Renfrew, 3M, Philippine Airlines, Ford Motor Corporation, Louis Vuitton, Loreal, Toyota Motor Corporation, and Adidas. So now that we've given you a bit of a flavor of who's likely going to be on this list, let's get straight to it in our top 10 list. Coming in at number 10 is De Beers, the second largest producer of diamonds in the world. Their sales represent 30% of total global sales, and by all standards, De Beers is considered a global monopoly in the diamond business, and they received Canadian wage subsidies. Number 9, Victoria's Secret, the famous lingerie company who employs most of the world's top models, also received wage subsidies. I wonder if any supermodels got their $800 weekly check. Numbers 8 and 7, tied. Air China and China Southern Airlines. Air China is partially owned by Cathay Pacific and the Chinese government, headquartered in Beijing, and operates a fleet of 439 aircraft globally. China Southern Airlines is also 58% owned by the Chinese government, employ over 100,000 people globally, and operate 619 aircraft. They got taxpayers' wage subsidies. Number 6, Royal Jordanian Airlines, majority owned by the, of course, Kingdom of Jordan. You know, that country over there in the Middle East that has a lot of money and a lot of oil. This Middle Eastern airline has over $1 billion of assets as of September 2020 on their last financials. Number 5, on the theme of airlines, United Airlines, the behemoth of American air carriers. United Airlines' tagline of "Fly the Friendly Skies" should be changed to "Fly the Friendly Skies," sponsored by Canadian taxpayers. Number 4, Nike, the largest manufacturer of sportswear in the world. You know that little swoosh? Well, that swoosh has been paid for by Canadian taxpayers. This is a company that has over $2 billion in profits in the last 12 months. Number 3, Walt Disney Company. Everyone's favorite mouse applied for a Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy, being a little short on cash, which was strange because If you take a look at the company's balance sheet at the parent level, they have $17.9 billion of cash on their balance sheet. And finally, in first place, tied for first and second, is the Bank of China and the Industrial Commercial Bank of China. Both these Chinese banks are state-owned banks with combined assets of nearly 8.8 trillion US dollars. That's roughly about 11 trillion Canadian. Just to put this in perspective, Canada's big five banks, being RBC, TD Bank, Bank of Nova Scotia, CIBC, and Bank of Montreal, have a combined total of 6.2 trillion Canadian versus 11. Yet not one of these Canadian banks received a single dollar in the CEWS. It's also worth noting that while the Chinese government continues to detain the two Michaels, Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavor, with no due course for 2 years, our Canadian government has paid wages to the employees of these Chinese government-owned companies. How messed up is that? Well, there you have it, folks. Millions, perhaps billions of dollars of Canadian tax dollars going to foreign corporations to pay their employees to work in Canada. In closing, I propose the federal government do two things. Number one, stop paying the wages of large foreign corporations with huge balance sheets immediately and table a bill that will have these wage subsidies paid back to Canadian taxpayers. I'm pretty sure this will be fully supported by the federal Conservatives, NDP, and Greens. And a reminder to Justin Trudeau, you were voted in by a small number of Canadians and you're accountable to all of us here in Canada, not just your elite and well-connected friends. So stop your globalist agenda now. Stop giving money away to global corporations. We'll have more for you soon. Hope you enjoyed this video. Talk to you soon. Thank you.